Hello and welcome to another Teacher's Corner. I'm Teacher Kirby, and before we get started, please remember, if you like what you see, to click that like and subscribe button. Also, if you would like to support Teacher's Corner, please consider becoming a patron. The link for that should be coming up in the top right hand corner of this video, or click the join button on this page. Alrighty, and without any further ado, today we're going to be talking about the Task Force Omega reputation. So this was actually, little footnote, this was actually the very first reputation that ever graced Star Trek Online. So it's actually a little strange. There's a few extra things, or extra sets, in here that don't really apply to the other reputations, so we're going to go over that in a little bit. Alright, so we'll go over each of the tiers. I'm just going to go over the new captain abilities that you get, and then we'll go over all the gear at the end. Alright, so for tier 1, you unlock the medical nanites ability that gives you plus 40% hit point regen, double that amount outside of combat, and it gives you the Omega weapon proficiency, which gives you 5% bonus all energy weapon damage and 10% bonus all melee damage, and these are both ground abilities. Tier 2, we get our first space abilities, and we get hull repairing nanites. That's 20% health regen, double this amount outside of combat, and Omega kinetic sharing, quite a good trait for kinetic damage dealers, torpedoes and mines. Kinetic torpedoes and mines deal additional damage as a shield penetrating damage over time for a 6-second period. Deals 10% of your outgoing damage as a damage over time over 6 seconds. And tier 3 is back to ground, Omega Graviton Pulse Module, a 5% chance, 90 kinetic damage with 100% shield penetration, double damage versus Borg, and Borg adapt to your weapons slower. And regenerative shield augmentation gives you 12.7 shield regeneration every second. Alright, tier 4, we're back to space. We have the Omega Graviton Amplifier, and this gives us to target 2.5% chance. 2.5% chance. We get 11.3 kinetic damage with 100% shield penetration on directed energy attacks, double damage versus Borg, and 5% chance to trigger on torpedo and mine attacks. And we also have superior shield repair, and that gives us 25.8 shield regen every 6 seconds. Then for our final tier 5, our final new ability, this is a ground ability. We have Medical Nanite Cloud, and this heals all nearby allies for 229 hit points, 50% chance to revive unconscious allies with 25% health. Revived allies are immune to damage for 2 seconds. Revived allies are disabled for 3 seconds. And it removes expose and Borg assimilation. So if you see one of your teammates, for example, you're fighting the Borg, you see one of your teammates and you see that they have those assimilation nanites on them and they're about to be assimilated, walk over and pop this medical nanite cloud and they're fine. And no assimilation. Yay! Okay. And then finally, upon achieving tier 6, we get all of the abilities become rank 2, and they increase in their effectiveness by 25%, okay, or 1/4 of what they previously were. And There you go. Bob's your uncle. Plus all weapons from this reputation gain 2% increase, I believe, in their damage. And let's see what else. And we get an alternative energy type weapon for our space and ground sets, as well as vanity shield, color variant, account-wide gear discount, a fleet module, and a captain skills retrain token. Also, and I forgot to mention it, when you reach tier 5, you get 500 reputation marks, omega marks, and 9,000 dilithium. As I said, this was the first reputation, so this one's a bit lower on the mark and dilithium payout than subsequent reputations. So that is important to note here. Alright, now we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at gear, and here's why. So gear is a little different on this one. It can get a little confusing, and so I'm going to try to make it pretty clear. So the first thing that comes up when we're looking at space gear is the adapted Mako set. Now, this reputation has one space set, and that means shield, deflector, and impulse engines. One space set available to everybody regardless of faction. Then it has one space set that is available in its original form only to Federation characters. Then it has another space set in its original form available only to Klingon characters. Then it takes the two and flips them and offers them as adapted versions. So the adapted version of one of the Klingon one is now available to Feds. It like I said, it gets confusing, but I'm going to try and break it down a little better for you. And I misspoke, there's actually two sets, reputation sets available for everybody, regardless of faction. Like I said, this was the first reputation. It's kind of wonky. Alright, so the first thing that we see here when we select item for an active project is the adapted Mako set. The adapted Mako set is available to Federation characters only, but you notice this word adapted. This means this is not the original Mako set. This is the adapted version, which means this is the exact same thing as the Klingon Honor Guard set. Okay? So, we're not going to talk about the Klingon Honor Guard set except to say it's the same thing as the adapted Mako, which I already went over. Okay, so this is the adapted Mako set, same thing as the Klingon Honor Guard set. Okay, and we have here, this gives 10,000 maximum shield capacity. Of course, this varies depending on some of your stats, with 10% bleed through. Bunch of regeneration. It has a 20% chance any attacker that hits you with energy weapons may become placated for 1 second, max once every 10 seconds, and reduces plasma damage to shields by 20%, reduces anti-proton damage to shields by 20%. Okay. For our deflector, it has a number of things that it gives you. Starship hull capacity, electroplasma system flow, that's EPS, helps with your power transfer rate. Starship stealth makes it harder for you to see, or be seen, and improves cloaking. Starship exotic particle generator, this helps with exotic damage. Starship control expertise, this helps with control things like gravity well and similar abilities. And then Starship Drain Expertise, that helps with things like Tychon's Rift and other draining such abilities. And then we have the impulse engines. So the impulse engines grant an increase to starship sector speed. So you've seen people fly by you in sector space, like you're standing still. This might be one of the things that they have on their ship, because this does grant an increase to sector speed. Cannot speak today. Also grants a increase to turn rate, weapon power, shield power, and auxiliary power, and a hot restart automatically removes engine disabled condition. Okay, so in addition, this has a set bonus, and the set bonus is tactical readiness, which is plus 25% torpedo damage and plus 8.9 auxiliary power setting, and regenerate 3.5% of maximum hull every 2 seconds. That is the 2-piece set bonus. The 3-piece set bonus is Mask Energy Field, and this affects friend and self, and it is a 3-kilometer sphere, gives a large amount of stealth, and plus 15% defense bonus, lingers for 5 seconds after dropping your stealth. Alright. Now, again, this set is exactly the same in every way as the Klingon Honor Guard set. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down. Now this next set is the set that is available to everybody regardless of faction, one of the 2 sets. This is called the Assimilated set. Alright, so the Assimilated set, we have the Assimilated Deflector Dish, and that has, and again, these are Mark 13 ultra rare. I forgot that this account has that. So yours may look a little different coming out at Mark 12 very rare. Okay, so we have plus 5 auxiliary power setting, 28.1 hull capacity, so it gives you extra hit points, 9.4 damage control, so it improves your passive hull regeneration, and 37.5 starship control expertise, so it will improve your gravity wells, etc., as well as 28.1 starship drain expertise. Okay, and also we have for our assimilated impulse engines, we have plus 5 engine power setting, plus 14.6 flight speed, and let's see, 4.8 flight turn rate, and this also is another one that increases sector speed, and you'll see it has maximum work factor 14, and that is also modified by sector space speed skills. Try saying that 5 times fast. And gives an extra 20.6 full impulse flight speed, thrusters 25% speed when engines are disabled. That's another thing that I have, as well as our assimilated regenerative shield, and this has plus 5 shield power setting, 6,000, is that 6? Yeah, 6,000 plus maximum shield capacity, 514 shield regeneration every 6 seconds. So it may have a smaller amount of shield cap, but it makes up for it, or at least tries to make up for it, with the amount of shield regeneration. And it reduces plasma damage and radiation damage by 15 and 20% respectively. This also has a set bonus, autonomous regeneration sequencer, and multi-regenerative shield array and assimilated tractor beam. And just a second and I will look those up. Okay. And that is my husband's phone going off in the background. We're just going to ignore that. Alright. And so the set bonus for the assimilated set, the 2-piece set bonus, the autonomous regeneration sequencer. I cannot talk today. Words are hard. Regenerate 1% of your hull every 2 seconds, plus 10 hull restoration, plus 10 hull regeneration. When taking damage, 2% chance to trigger the autonomous regeneration sequencer for 10 seconds. Cannot trigger more than once every 60 seconds. And there we go. Our 3-piece set bonus, multi-regenerative shield array, is a passive. While any shield facing is below 20%, incoming damage has a 10% chance to trigger the multi-regenerative shield array for 10 seconds. And it gives shield regeneration to each facing shield, reduces damage to shields by 50%, continuously removes hazard debuffs for 10 seconds. And then we have, of course, as well, the Assimilated Tractor Beam. So this is a separate clicky. In addition to the other abilities, it gives you what acts as a tractor beam. And this gives a 5-kilometer range, has a 3-minute recharge, and it has kinetic damage. Causes kinetic damage and crew damage. That's an old mechanic that's no longer relevant. But causes kinetic damage when used on a target that has been recently hit by kinetic cutting beam within the last 4 seconds. Reduces turn rate and flight speed for 10 seconds. Okay, and that is the set bonuses for that. Alright, and assimilated, okay. And sorry, getting my notes all confused there. Okay. And then we have the assimilated weapon set. So this is a little different. Now this is the weapon set that is available to everybody. So this has a console, and this is your weapon, your kinetic cutting beam. Alright, so the universal console has some crit chance, 1%, 10.4% crit severity, plus 5 weapon power setting, plus 5.7 starship damage control, and plus 25.8 starship control expertise. So this will help improve things like gravity well. Alright, and then we have our kinetic cutting beam, and that is, it's basically a standard beam, but it does kinetic damage. It's a standard 360 beam, but instead of doing energy damage, it does kinetic damage to your target, and it is not affected by things like fire at will or beam overload. Okay, and of course there's a set bonus with these, and so the set bonus, and I have to look it up, of course. Where is it? Okay. And the set powers, we have the Omega Weapon Amplifier 2-piece set bonus. On hit with any energy weapon, we got plus 2.5% chance to self applies the weapon amplifier, which is plus 10 weapon power for 3 seconds, plus 500 weapon power drain resistance for 3 seconds, and negative 500% weapon power cost. So what that means is You get plus 10 weapon power dumped in your weapons randomly at some point during the cycle, which is a good thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, but you also get for 3 seconds negative 500% weapon power cost. That means the cost of firing weapons is reduced, and with a negative 500%, that's a pretty huge reduction. That's going to mean that basically you're not feeling the cost of firing weapons at all for a few seconds there. And then we also have our 3-piece set bonus, reactive deflection, which is 1% chance when hit to set hull resistance to approximately 75% for 2 seconds. This cannot occur more frequently than once every 30 seconds. So basically what that means is you get your hull resistance really, really high, but only for 2 seconds, and you have no control over it. Alright. Now, so that is our weapon set, and that is available to everybody. Now we have the Mako set. Now this is available only to Federation characters as the Mako set. If you want this as a Klingon, you have to get the Adapted Honor Guard set. They are exactly the same thing in that regard. Okay, so you see why I said this was confusing. Alright, with the Mako set, we have the Graviton Deflector Array, and that has 18.8 shield restoration, so it helps restore your shields. Some Starship hull capacity, so it gives you larger hull. Starship shield capacity, so larger shields, or more shields. Electroplasma system flow, so it gives you some EPS, or power transfer rate. Some exotic particle generator, or EPG, so it helps your exotic damage. And 37.5 control expertise, so it helps things like gravity well. Alright. And then we have our Mako Impulse Engine, and that gives us some sector speed, so it improves travel speed in sector space. It gives us 5.1 flight turn rate, and maximum asynchronous warp factor 13, so this helps to really, really zoom in sector space. Alright, and then we have, for our shields, we have a Resilient Shield Array. I gotta tell you, these are my favorites. It has 8,130.9 maximum shield capacity. This will be affected by your own shield capacity stats. 5% absorption and 5% bleed through. And 344 shield regeneration every 6 seconds. Of course, that will be affected by your stats as well. It also reduces all energy damage to shields by 10% when hit by directed energy attacks. You gain +1 to all power settings for 15 seconds. This effect stacks up to 5 times. This is similar to the Plasmonic Leech. Okay? So, this is similar to the Plasmonic Leech in where you can get extra energy dumped into your weapon power system. The key though here is it only happens when you're hit by directed energy attacks, so you need to make sure that you can handle being fired at. And it also reduces plasma damage to shields by 20%. Alright, now this has a set bonus as well. And the set bonus here is, here we go, for our magnetoplasma relays. It's a mouthful. We have 5% power recharge speed and 17.8 starship drain expertise. And for our 3-set bonus, we have a heavy graviton beam. So this is an extra damage dealing clicker. And it gives to our target, it gives a large amount of kinetic damage with 50% shield penetration. It gives a large amount of repel, so it pushes them back. And puts the following systems offline for 8.6 seconds. Auxiliary, impulse, and weapons all go offline. And so yeah, that is quite an interesting beam. But yeah, there are things that have overtaken it since then. Alright. And then we have... Okay. So that is our Mako. Again, this is available to Klingon characters as the Adapted Honor Guard set. Okay. And then we have, this is the other set that is available to everybody, regardless of allegiance, and that is the Omega set. So we have here a deflector array that has weapon accuracy, so it improves your ability to hit targets. Has exotic particle generator, so it improves your things like gravity well, destabilizing resonance beam, subspace vortex. Let's see. Has control expertise and some drain expertise, as well as starship perception, which perception improves your detection of a cloaked ship, allows you to see them easier. Okay. And then we have our impulse engines, which gives us plus 20.1 flight speed. They're also hyper impulse engines, which means they're faster than other engines when you have high engine power. Okay, we also have 5.1 flight turn rate and 100% recharge time reduction to slipstream drive. So when you have this in sector space, when you have these engines on, your slipstream, if you like to fly around space that way, recharges much faster. And then of course we have the shields for this set, and that is the Omega Force Shield Array, and that has 7,703, of course this is affected by your stats. Shield capacity, we have 10% bleed through on the shield. We have a 493 shield regeneration, which is actually pretty good. 50% chance when struck with energy damage to gain energy wake, and this gives you plus 5 defense rating for 5 seconds, plus 1 inertia rating, plus 5 flight speed, plus 30% flight turn rate. So basically it makes you harder to hit, makes you faster to stop, and gives you extra speed and extra turn rate when you are struck with energy weapons. And it reduces plasma damage to your shields by 20%. Alright. And these are all the Omega space sets, which of course have their own set of their own set of abilities, which are, let's see, which are the space set powers are 2-piece set bonus is the Tetrion Glider, which adds shield drain to all energy weapon attacks. And this is, of course, the more starship drain expertise that you have, the more shield drain will be added. Okay? So there you go. And then the 3-piece set bonus has what's called the Gravitic Anchor. This is, of course, a damage clicky. So it adds this to it, and it gives to your target, it gives minus 25 kinetic resistance or kinetic damage resistance for 10 seconds. Disables your target's ability to turn for 10 seconds. And gives your target minus 50% defense for 10 seconds. So, quite an interesting ability here. Alright. And furthermore, next we come up to, and this is available to all factions under the same name. And then we have the final piece of the weapon set. We have the Omega Torpedo. Okay. And the it's Omega Plasma Torpedo Launcher. And this has a bunch of kinetic damage and a plasma damage over time ability there. Alright, and this is the final piece of the kinetic cutting beam and assimilated module and torpedo set. So there you go. Alright, and as I said, there is, of course, if you are KDF, you would also see the Honor Guard and adapted Honor Guard sets in place of the adapted Mako and Mako sets here. And again, the Honor Guard set is the same thing as the adapted Mako set. This makes any sense, and I'm hoping it does. And the Mako set is the same thing as the adapted Honor Guard set. Whew! So, as you can see, quite a lot here, and I'm just going over space. I'm going to go over the ground stuff in a separate video. So, because there's, as I said, there's a lot here. And the ground has a lot also. But I'll go over some of that. I'll go over the ground stuff in a separate video next time. So, hope you learned something, and I will see you then.